The Search Podcast USA Edition series is sponsored by Ascen. Ascen is a top employer of record in North America that exclusively helps staffing and recruitment agencies hire contractors compliantly throughout the US and Canada. Ascen's all-in-one white-label platform handles onboarding, timesheets, payroll, benefits, insurance, invoicing, and optional financing so you can grow quickly in the US and Canada. Start growing your staffing agency in the US today with Ascen. Visit us at ascen.com.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of the Search Podcast. I'm Elliott Manning, the Managing Director of Cayman Recruitment Group, all sponsored by Ascen, who are a phenomenal employer of record in North America. I've got a fantastic guest with me this week, someone I've actually known in the industry for a very long time, someone that is an avid runner also, who I've seen with many community group running setups that we can go through and dive into a little bit more, but I'll let him take away an introduction to who he is and what he's doing.
Sure. I'm Ivor Stratford, co-founder of Morpheus.
Awesome. So, Ivor, tell us a little bit about your business, what you're doing at the moment, your focus market, geographical kind of, target as well. And let's learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah, sure. So we are a UK-based recruitment talent staffing business. Majority of the team are based in London. That said, 100% of our focus right now and has been for a number of years has been into the US.
Yeah.
So we support early growth stage VC-backed tech AI businesses scale from kind of an early stage when they've raised their maybe not first round, but second or third round of capital. And we're there to be their talent partner to help them scale across the US.
Fine. Anywhere in particular in the US, or just you kind of look at it as a general whole? Or
I say across the US, which is kind of half true, half a lie. So New York and SF are the main markets where
yeah,
our clients tend to be headquartered out of. But we'll cover the entire US. But pretty much all of our clients are based in either New York or SF, the Bay Area.
how does that work for you? Because I mean, look, I talk to a lot of businesses, and ultimately they try and focus just on the East Coast, or even maybe going to that sort of Central America. Dealing with the West Coast, being based in the UK, how's that working for you? Is there, is it, I suppose, the same balance as dealing with the East Coast, or is that a little bit more challenging?
It's definitely more challenging. One thing we are seeing, and this is not pretty common, that there may be one or two founders in New York and one or two in SF, so it could be the same client we're working with and supporting, but we're covering kind of both time zones.
Hmm.
So how does it work? It doesn't.
Yeah,
So doing calls 10, 11 p.m., midnight or after is not uncommon,
yeah.
uh, but it is what it
Go
is.
part and parcel with it, right? How do
Yeah.
your staff deal with that? Like, have you had anyone kind of, and this is it's a question that I'd ask everyone, like, how are you seeing them operate in those hours? And, are they good with it? Is it working?
It's definitely not for everyone, and it definitely makes hiring more challenging. But
Yeah.
I think people we have in the business today that have been with us on a ride for somewhere between, it could be 6 months, could be up to 5 years, are kind of used to it. So we
Mm.
need to be pragmatic. Typically, we're working 11 till 8, 12 till 9 type hours. But if there's big opportunities, we'll be flexible around what people do. And if they're doing stuff late in the evening, we just try and accommodate that and in the best way we can. It's not easy. If there is a call very late in the evening or early hours, I'm the first to just say, like, I'll happily take it.
Yeah.
But I think when people have seen the upside, they've seen the reward, they've traveled out there, they've gone to basketball games and football games, and they've done all the kind of nice, fun stuff out there when we travel a lot, they see the upside.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that I've really liked what you guys have done that not many other businesses have kind of put into their setup. And if it's wrong and it's changed, then we'll have to edit this out. You guys have it where, like, if you're in office until like 5, 6 o'clock, you can go home, get yourself back home, sort yourself out, have dinner, carry on working kind of thing. So you've got that kind of nice balance, healthy balance. Is that still the case?
Yeah, no, very much so. So there'll be people that when they're working, they want to be in the office. and they finish their day, they shut the laptop, they go home. Others that maybe, dare I say it, a little bit older, have more responsibility at home.
Yeah,
They'll head home between sort of like 4 and 6 p.m., do whatever they need to do, and then log back on after. So I think it's about
yeah.
trying to create an environment and a way of operating that works for us as a business and also the individuals. Because if it works 100% for the business and 0% for our people, it just therefore doesn't work for anyone and vice versa.
Yeah, I generally think everyone should be doing the same thing, to create that balance because it's always, it sometimes gets to a point where it's difficult to sustain. And where you guys have created that real flexibility of got that balance and care about making it work, it's better than saying, no, you have to be in office till 9 o'clock every night. It's not easy.
It's hard, and actually we're super fortunate. Had yesterday had a end of H1 wrap up. It was a little bit late, obviously, and the start of H2 kickoff in the afternoon, and took everyone out for some drinks after. I can see people itching to go back to the office because they've got stuff to do. They've got stuff they want to
Yeah.
make happen, deals to close. Which part of me is super grateful for that. And there's another part of me just thinking you could do that in a few hours. Like we are allowed to like relax for a little bit. So we're super fortunate to have some really driven people that again have seen big commission checks, pay rises, promotion. They've done incredibly well because of the market that we're in. But our biggest challenge in some cases is holding people back to not
Mm.
go a
Yeah.
hundred an hour, 24 hours a day. But this is a nice problem.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And tell me, with the US and before we jumped on the call, you were just saying how much time you've been dedicating to going over there. How have you found the business development, sort of, bringing on new clients and really establishing a reputation in the US, since you've been doing it?
It's the only way we have found any real success or momentum is by spending time there physically. And that's not a once a year, twice a year trip. It's as much as possible. Um, and I've been there, I think 6 or 7 times this year. We'll do the same or more between now and the end of the year. I try not travel alone. Um, because it's quite lonely, as you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
so we'll take could be two, three, four people, could just be one, depends on who we're going to see and what the purpose is of the trip. All of that said, again, I was saying just before this, the big wins we're having now are coming from people that came to a dinner we hosted 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
mm,
or someone we met. So it's yeah, for me, it's like anything. It's just like consistency and reps. Have other people probably similar to you that in the industry and saying, how have you had some of these big wins? Oh, we did a dinner and this person came to it and they turned into our biggest spending client for a 12-month
yeah,
period. Um, Other people, they go and do a dinner. A week later, they'll call me and say it was a waste of time. Like nothing's happened. Like it's very
yeah,
much a long game. It's very much being there in and amongst it, being part of community, adding value, putting events and dinners and roundtables and just taking part and being like really present. Um,
yeah,
and just on that, one of the biggest compliments I had a couple of weeks ago, New York Tech Week, at a like private invite only breakfast for like tech founders and investors, and I got an invite, which was cool. Guy I was sitting next to asked me what my name was, what I do, said to the company, and he responded by saying, "You guys are everywhere at the minute,"
yeah,
and that's not from stuff we've done this year. This is, or just one thing. This is just like constant, as often as possible, being there, being really present, and building some like relationships with some really influential people.
yeah.
And
I think
then
what you Yeah, I think what you do amazingly well, and is you kind of nurture those relationships, and you have the waiting game. And I think that a lot of British firms going over to the US, they trying to tap the American market in a very transactional way, cold call BD, like to try and pull in jobs, and try and do something to bring in the business. But ultimately, the ones that have been most successful doing what you do, which is nurturing relationships, spending time on the ground, not expecting to go and meet a client for dinner and, being given the biggest account you've ever seen, but maybe in 6 to 12 months' time, they'll call on you and you've got that kind of relationship rapport built up with them to get the business through. So that's how I've seen, like with you guys, the most successful businesses. Um, in terms of, the market that you focus in, how have you found it dealing with that into the US as opposed to maybe doing the European or UK market right now?
Um, I think they're worlds apart.
Yeah,
In terms of, again, typical client for us, they've raised venture money, and they're chasing venture dollars just from a size and scale. The amount of, yes, there's more companies in the US chasing venture dollars, but there are just more venture dollars.
yeah,
And the check sizes are bigger, the rounds are bigger. Um, in Europe, it's the polar opposite. You have
yeah,
less businesses, but they're also chasing less money. Um, I think for me, aside from the kind of mechanics of it and the economics, the biggest difference I think is more mindset and culturally. Um,
yeah,
where in the US, not just clients of ours, just in general, and this is also just to caveat that with my insight relationship network in the US is small in the grand scheme of things. It's New York and the Bay Area. But as a general rule, people are looking for reasons to do things,
yeah,
and they'll scratch around in their head and in board meetings or whatever, like trying to find a reason to do something.
yeah,
Whereas, from my perspective, in the UK and Europe, it feels like people are looking for reasons not to do stuff. So I think it's
yeah.
more a big cultural shift, and then the economics underline that.
Fine. Are you planning to have you got staff on the ground in the US at the moment? Are you planning on doing that? Do you think it's going to make a bigger difference to what you're doing now?
Yes and yes. So we have had staff on the ground previously, and this is going back a couple of years. It was a mistake not hiring those individuals. I'm still in touch with both of them. They're great people. But we did it the wrong way round. We thought we had all the right makings, that we had a large chunk of our revenue was out of the US,
Yeah,
large chunk of clients. Let's hire a couple of people on the ground, and get them going. Our critical mass was still in London. So I
yeah,
think they felt very siloed. They were just islands, and they weren't really joining a team or a company. They were just one person in one city, one person another, and they were spread too thin. So we weren't able to export culture, systems, process, way of operating, how we do things. Doing that via video is really hard. So that didn't work out. It was a very expensive mistake, but one looking back now that I'm glad I made.
yeah, yeah, of
um,
course.
with a view that we don't make it again. Um, so that's probably the first part of the question. The second part, we will be hiring out there. So we're now fully incorporated, going through visa process. Uh, it's for me, it's a big personal decision.
Yeah,
My wife is now at a point where I wouldn't say she's not packing her bags and ready to go. But she's definitely more interested and excited in. So we're having like some proper conversations at home about whether it be a full relocation or 6 months there, 6 months here. Um, at that point, I'm not sure if this was a follow-up question. We'll give the opportunity to anyone internally that wants to
yeah,
move out to kind of come with. But again, we still want to keep a critical mass in London because there's
yeah,
huge amounts of talent here, and then augment that with some local hires. So we can go from having no physical presence in the US to a medium to decent sized team almost overnight. But that takes some planning and some preparation to do that.
yeah. Yeah, that was kind of be the next question is like, what's the plan moving forward of the business and, where you see it going? But clearly you've kind of mapped it out in the right way. I've seen both, ways work with a lot of businesses. Some of them, go and hire on the ground and it can work. It's not, a bad way to do it. But then some of them kind of do it the way that you're doing it and build towards it within, internal kind of processes to make it happen. If you went over there, where do you think you'd live? Ivor, where do you think you'd go?
Oh, that's $1 million question. I mean, Montana on a ranch would be the dream.
Of
But
course.
I haven't
Bit of
got
Yellowstone. Yeah,
80 million bucks sitting around, and I also need to be near our customers.
yeah.
New York would be the most likely, like
Interesting.
almost certainly. My network is strongest there through lots of events and clients we work with and communities that I'm a real part of. So that makes it a softer landing that you're going to have people you can go and have dinner with on your first lonely Saturday in
Yeah.
a new city. Great links. It's the only downside. It's hugely expensive.
Yeah. Do you know what? I never heard many people say, "Oh, New York would be the place to go." But it's the most sensible in a sense from a business point of view because that's where all the clients are in most cases, and that's where the business is. Yes, it comes at a premium. You don't have to do it in an expensive way. I do know that New York is expensive, but so is most of the US. And ultimately, you just wouldn't do it in a way where you're breaking the bank.
Yeah, so there's I think it's also about making the transition not just for the business, right, but also for like myself and my wife Claire that we know people there because it's a at home it's very much a team decision
Yeah,
um, to get that to work, and it gives us better access to SF in the Bay Area. It's only a 3 hour time difference. It's a
yeah,
you I wouldn't necessarily do that return flight in a day, but you could do if you absolutely had to.
yeah.
So that's where we're at currently. I'm not saying that won't change.
Brilliant.
Yeah, lots of moving parts and things to consider.
No, look, it's really interesting to know. So look, we've covered who you guys are. We've talked about, your setup and how you kind of operated your business in America and New York in specific with building a reputation. Is there anything else that you plan to change this year with the business model? Anything that you're going to be doing differently with your clients? Anything that's not worked and you're maybe happy to share that could be, something for anyone else to be aware of when operating the way that you might be doing?
Um, I'm not sure I mean, there's obviously loads of like small things that haven't worked, but the things that weren't working are now working, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So it's when market's been challenging, when things have been difficult, and we have an opportunity to sponsor a big event or conference or host a series of dinners and do all those sorts of things. Like if you're in the UK and you're going there for 2 weeks, and you're doing an event every night, like the total cost and the total investment is high.
mm,
Um, so I think it's just about really doubling down on those. I think utopia for me would be also to see other people in the business like run and lead some of these things.
yeah,
So a goal that I have is that we can run two dinners on the same evening, which sounds really odd, but it means I can only be at one of them, or I don't have to go to any of them. So I think it's really just doing more of the same, placing bets in markets that we're doing well in, and just all in on in real life physical relationship build.
yeah,
It's the only way over the last 5 years we've been able to find a way to kind of like stand out and build relationships
yeah.
and
Look,
offer value to people.
Look, you guys are doing incredibly well with that. You definitely are right. What your client said, you are all over LinkedIn and, sharing your communities, sharing, all the event stuff that you're doing and really sending the right messages across to the market. And you've really penetrated the US side of things extremely well. And clearly it's paying off. And hopefully for you guys, it continues to do so, mate. So I think, look, well done with everything and, keep doing what you're doing. It's been phenomenal. I think a lot of businesses should learn from this. And the way that you look after the staff as well with that balance, I think is awesome. And I've always remembered that, never forgotten it. And there's always that one thing with a lot of businesses, and trust me, I speak to a lot, that stands out for me. And that has always stood out. And I have actually, if you don't mind, like just suggested to other businesses, look, this is what a client of mine does. Try it because you get a good balance in the business. And ultimately, I think that's where the staff are the most important part of it, right? They're the ones that are there to support, your growth.
Yeah, certainly in a big market, when you make changes around location or days in the office or working hours or how you go to market, all of those things, I think one thing that's certainly with around our US, well, I say our US focused businesses, our whole business. Um, it's really about when you make those changes, expect no changes for like 3, 6, 9 months in some cases. How does that affect people? How does that affect engagement? How does that affect performance? All of those things,
Yeah.
they take time to, just because you make a tweak today, um, I've definitely fallen foul of this. You expect like a completely different person or different team to walk through the door the next day. It takes time for things to yeah to play out, and the same with like building community, building relationships, how we go to market. Um,
Yeah.
just got to be really patient.
It's all about the one thing our industry does not have, which is patience. We are the worst at it, and we just want things to happen now. So, yeah, hopefully people take that on board and listen because it's very true. And from experience myself, it's exactly how it needs to be and usually works. But look, mate, thank you so much for jumping on this with me. Yeah, very excited to see where you guys go. Love to find out if you end up moving over to the US as well and how that journey is going to be for you at the same time. I'd love to move to New York. It's the one place that I would choose if I was to go to the US to be. But at the minute, I'm being told otherwise by the boss and the family. So, yeah, good luck to you, Ivan. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you very much again.
Elliot, thank you.